going through the session, I guess. Let me go to a fresh chart. It's clean.
Yeah, Viking. Sorry, I'm at the office right now. Couldn't get a chance to type him up again. But yeah, once I'll whip him up and put him down in the chat for everybody.
No worries at all, bro. Okay, so biggest thing is the on-chain metric bundle update. So now we've done and we ported it into the Discord. So there's a new alert thing called on-chain daily alerts, and it'll output something that includes all of the on-chain data as well as stuff that's outliers, and it'll highlight it and be like, hey, this is happening, therefore it's bullish, or this is happening, therefore it's bearish. So it'll output all of the info, not just the little lower time frame stuff, which is cool. The biggest thing that we just changed real quick, we're able to implement was, on the invert chart. It's now the invert chart function, which works on everything, which is great in case you want to move it all together in the same spot. And the divergences, and the divergences flip with it. So as an example to this, right? We got the Harmony Oscillator suite. My favorite thing is still the retail stablecoin demand by far. But at the end of the day, this is the opposite of what's happening on charts. So what I've been doing with this, I'll just invert it, right? And you guys should all have this update pushed to you. And if it hasn't hit it, where you see the invert chart or the divergences, just reload the chart. And now we have regular divergences. So now it basically runs it off of this to match with things. So again, with this overlay, we have basically double confirmation of divergence, overlapping, even on the 1 hour. But what we've more found, especially down on the lower time frames, like the 15-minute, is that as you get these double kind of confirmations, so to speak, we really look for here where it's getting very, very, very oversold, and we're bearishly diverging because the strength is lower than previously in the previous one. So if we see the failure here, we start breaking down, it should pop a secondary bearish divergence. The lower time frames, again, you want the extra confirmation. Yellow dot, bullish divergence, blue dot. That's almost always what I look for. And then the confirmation of this is price action bouncing off a level? Yes. These are something like the freest trades. We've been testing this for a bit now, even since the update got pushed. Is that we're seeing consistent returns, especially when things are moving together. So even on the 1 hour, I think the 1 hour is going to be your best bet, especially when we start getting into divergence, right? This is the high, great. You could have taken that for a little bit of a scalp and before it stopped you off. But the fact that then we continue to break down and prices moving down hard with a secondary bearish divergence, it's over and over again that we're getting really close. Even here, very, very overbought. We've broken out of the level, but if we start closing back below it, we're now diverging again. So from these highs up here, where it was at 98, and now we're here at 90, 89. So there's a potential for more bearish divergence, which kind of confirms the idea that this entire thing is distribution, which it could be, right? But I want the confirmation. So what we've been seeing is that if you're comfortable taking on the 1 hour, go a time frame lower, like the 30-minute, and see what we're doing there. So here, you're getting overbought, 1, 2. You could have taken a small one, but it would have stopped you out pretty quickly. So now, again, looking at the higher time frames, now we want to see secondary failure, which is we're making price that's higher, but then turning around, and that'll give us the divergence off the strength, right? And that's going to be the key in this thing overall. So if this thing doesn't now gain 21.8 and then bullshit backtest, which would basically invalidate the shorts, because now it's gaining the entire over top structure. Then what's actually happening is this is just the short liquidations to fill and liquidate old shorts to fill market makers and stuff, which it could play around in here before collapsing, but overall I think it's really, really effective. The funding rates also are getting bearish, or they have been a little bit bearish, but only slightly so, and they haven't changed too much. So even on the 15, if we start seeing the funding start breaking down, I know if the reversal lines, we're figuring out ways to make that more accurate as well with the reversal stuff. I think if we start seeing more breakdowns down here, these crossover points are more indicative of the funding changing directions. And more we're seeing that when the funding is actually changing from bullish to bearish, that's like the start of whatever the bull move. So that's the start of the bullish move because the funding was the highest. That's where liquidity providers and market makers got in. And then as we got bearish, they took some shorts. That's been blasted off, and we still have very, very bearish. Well, not very bearish. It's slightly bearish funding. Like overall, this is very little, like small compared to everything else. Now, the 15 minutes can be less accurate for the funding rate, so you'd have to increase the smoothing on it. So it's based off of like, to put this in perspective, we'd have to change the smoothing rate so you make this thing more easily to trade, right? Which I still think, again, here we're potentially reversing. I like leaving it as is and focusing on funding on a higher time frame, like the 1 hour. But that's kind of like a secondary confirmation in my head, right? So we have, let me switch this back. So I like the green on the bottom. So basically what we're looking for now is a breakdown of structure, right? Bearish funding is still increasing. So once bearish funding starts breaking down, that's basically when the move starts. That's the bearish divergence and retracement. So that's what we're looking for overall, which would show us more, a bigger move to the downside. But yeah, using these things together, especially on the lower time frames, really seems to be helpful. And when you have the double divergence, right, and then we pop above 15-minute, not super relevant, but if we start doing on the 1 hour, that's pretty damn relevant. And even now, we've inverted the chart, so stable coin demand is getting lower and lower. All right, we'll turn that off. If I flip this thing the right way around again, that's why it's the way it looks. Like, don't use the divergences so much here. You can, because it does work. Except it's countering what you see on the chart, because right now what we're seeing is stable coin demand is dropping. That means people are entering into crypto, and when they enter into crypto, there's low demand for stable coin. When it starts moving back up, people are exiting. So the fact that it's already down here, even on the 1 hour, says that we're probably getting close to a reversal. If it's not, the start of this move, then we play out that fractal of, come back down, sideways a little bit, and then go back up, and then farm out something like that. And then the whole thing becomes a fractal of itself. But again, we haven't broken down yet, so you have to take it as is. And that's why together, with the harmony, it's my confluence thing at this point, right? Like, I've literally been using this and this alone. When we start bottoming out, multiple yellow dots, multiple blues, tapping on levels, these are becoming the easiest longs in the zone. Let's see. I know everyone wants to use the alt on alts and stuff like that, right? Because I think everyone wants to maximize the profits they're making on alts, which is cool. I totally agree with that mentality. So yeah, whenever they're starting to get closer together, when they're very close, like movement-wise, that's fine. On Matic and everything, we are getting bearish divergence, and we're getting high stablecoin demand. So things that are leading in the market, like Matic, like LTC, like GRT, you can't do it as accurately until you break structure, right? So that's when I start looking at stuff like the SRs that show local levels, or things that are more relevant on the local levels. But this thing's massively oversold in the 1 hour. I'm not saying that we need to break down. Why is it not firing? Come on, work for me, baby. Yeah, it's deviating in and of itself with the stablecoin demand sitting at about... Why is that not firing? I don't know what's going on. I think it's my thing. That's on my end. But yeah, even here, we're starting to get some crossover, right? Stablecoin demand, even on the 4 hours, not massively bearish, but enough to where it's concerning. So even if we get, that slower high, and then we just do one last pop off, it's still potential. So overall, on the higher time frames, this stuff is great, but it's also a perspective of how quickly you want to enter the positions. I know everyone's really focused on the automation stuff right now, which is great, which is good. And I think that's like only going to get better and better over time. Just make sure that you're looking at, the general TA stuff, because that's going to be the more relevant. Is that making sure your TA is on point and hitting levels and like, okay, we're rejecting stuff, that type of thing. And I think it's really effective, especially lower time frame. That's my general mentality on it. Even so that like with the harmony, I think the divergences on harmony, because strength and trend are more higher time frame anyways, that just focusing on the stablecoin demand divergence is probably one of the more effective ways to use the tool anyways. And then of course, using core to see like big pockets of like scalp pressure, right, popping in. That's like one of my biggest things as well. So we're starting to get some of the resistance here, but we'll see. It's bearishly diverging on the 15, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot until we break levels. Any questions or any thoughts or any strategies you guys have been implementing yourselves? Yes, no, maybe so. One of the other ones as well that I looked at that I thought was pretty damn cool. Where was it? It was that, and was it this? And I'll move that down as well. So using core trend as like a general direction of price movement. Now, it might seem counterintuitive, but when they start crossing and then obviously moving core trend lower, like in higher in signal sensitivity to catch the actual movements. On the 1 hour, I've been seeing some pretty interesting stuff with it. Yeah, so anytime like it goes green and then it starts matching up with structure, you look for it to start breaking back down. I think that was a bit too high, but there's some cool combinations that we're working on. Right now, we're kind of looking at, trading profiles. So like people that are comfortable trading different things in a sense of, how do I put that? Like different time frames. So if you were more of like a low time frame trader, like 15-minute, like maybe focusing on using that stuff for manual trades, we have like 3 or 4 points of confirmation. Then you look at like the SRs and whatnot for, or the high time frame opens for rejection. And for higher time frame stuff, as far as like the core trend and the indicators we have up here. God, this thing's breaking on me all day long, and I don't know why. I think it's my internet's really bad. Yeah, I don't know why, and it's bugging the hell out of me. So even on the higher time frame stuff, one of the more interesting ones as well is the long-short ratio crossover. Right? Now, it might seem a little counterintuitive because you got to make sure you're not inverted. Otherwise, it'll invert longs and shorts, which kind of like defeats the whole purpose. But on swings, when I start getting divergences and then trend changes, like on the core trend, like they line up pretty freaking crazy. I actually just wanted to try this too because it was something I was thinking about. So, not the most effective way to show it, but definitely when you see like this flipping green and then also the core trend flipping green, it's an extra layer of confirmation. But I don't like it like that. I just want to test it out to see what it looked like. But yeah, we're seeing crossover. Like I said, they're seeing bearish divergences on things. So the fact that this is moving down means that we're now waiting for this thing to start breaking down, if possible. The 4 hour is still going to be the king of everything, I'd say. Or it always has been, right? So the fact that we're breaking down also on long shorts, basically everyone's been longing everything all the way up. And the local shorts have been getting wrecked, right? So what that basically means, at least in my head, is all of the longs that we have, they've all lined up in one place. And if we lose 20K, it's going to go off a freaking cliff. Pretty hard, I think. But again, we're getting into that mentality where people are, almost afraid to long, which like this wrecked so many people shorting in this zone. Let me switch over. It wrecked so many people shorting in this zone because it was, bullishly diverging on long short ratio. It was bottomed out. Stablecoin demand was super, super high, right? Because everyone was in stablecoins. And then we just started absolutely sending. So I thought that was pretty interesting when we first saw it. But I think there's something I want to do too with the funding. Like there's quite a bit we can do with the funding. And I think we can do a little bit better with like the crossover. Which one? Yeah. No, it means that the general long and short ratios as they respect price action. So like it moves up and down from the center of like who's in command. Is it longs in command of the zone or shorts? And anytime it gets overly long or overly short, it starts deviating bearishly or deviating bullishly, which shows that like, the shorts that have been getting a free ride since 24K, a lot of them are getting wrecked out here. And people are like, oh yeah, we're pumping. And then once they start longing, right, this massive move up, people start longing heavily. And then the longs were in command locally. So longs get, overzealous, over 90, it starts breaking back down. That's the way I interpret it, at least. I think combining it with collated open interest. Yeah. Not really. I mean, you could just add another version of the indicator. It's not. Especially when they align. Yeah, exactly. So the fact that we've dropped a lot of open interest, like it's going to be interesting to see if we start, crabbing sideways up in this zone, like this, and then we see open interest climb, and then we could still get a macro failure or something like that. But to be fair, we have broken out of the previous range and we bullshit back tested it, right? That's the biggest thing to remember here is that we have gained above, and this bullish upside move like this, general bullishness in crypto, it's all fine and dandy. It looks good. So, as we come back down, and we'll see how open interest, responds. My assumption is that as if price from here starts breaking back down, we're going to see open interest climb, and then we'll probably see this do one last top move of longing, where everybody gets long, and then most of the indicators will all align. As then we start pulling out a distribution, we're like, wreck the last ones, and then off a cliff. But we don't have to do it. We don't have to do it yet. But overall, we're potentially still heading into a bear market rally. The fact that we broke out after the FOMC meeting, we had the nice upward move, relong on the Septembers and stuff like that. Like, this is all great, but have we gained anything really massive in the entire structure? Like, overall high time frame structure, right? No. Not really. This is literally the midpoint of like this 6-month range, if you want to think of it that way. And we farmed out all of the volume in this zone. Like, the only thing left to take volume wise is to like go up here and then start going like this and then go like that, or even just That would be the meanest thing I could imagine doing, going like that and then failing and then creating new low. But yeah, anytime there's overlap and everything aligns, like I feel stupid that we didn't get this thing out earlier. Again, I guess we didn't have the on-chain stuff coming out at the time, but there were so many great shorts in the zone that we've had here as well, and even some of the longs also, just based off of this stuff. I just want to see. Not the best info. That's yeah. Still not the best in my mind. Oh, for sure. Let me just check the notes to make sure I'm not about the long short ratio to make sure I'm saying it right. Okay, so the long short ratio crossover analyzed the current disparity between traders who position themselves in long positions on derivatives markets in comparison to those on prices going down. This indicator provides other impressive insight into the fallacy of the herd mentality and how aiming to be on the opposite side of the masses can be a profitable venture. The value of 100 considers that an overwhelming majority of traders are predicting a price increase and are trying to position themselves accordingly, whereas a value of negative 100, almost all derivative traders are trying to bet a sizable market downturn. So this is useful for both long-term positions and short-term methods of scalping, and it updates on a per-candle basis, which is cool. So, yeah, the majority of people are long in here and got back long on September. Like, the unfortunate thing is that we did this move now where, like, I would have rather had, this move down and then the regain. And then that would have gotten everyone thinking short everything. So, but the fact that we are this long overall and stablecoin demand is diminishing, like, any retraces, like we should start seeing open interest increase. And then the next time open interest gets back above 80, 85, 90, and then everything else will be maxed out, we might get a massive short, but that's if this farms out a good pattern. If this thing starts collapsing back down now, it'll freak everybody out. I would still like it to take out, this stuff up here. Like, that would be my ideal level, like 21.9, 21.8. But we'll see if we get there. Oh, that'd be so funny, dude. Yeah, ETH as well. Like, it's also deviating stablecoin demand, which is crazy, right? And that's why we haven't topped out. If stablecoin demand was like fully, like, ignore the scale, because red means very low stablecoin demand versus green, which means very high stablecoin demand. And when those things align with lows, like, that's always the low. And when those things, very low stablecoin demand, coincides with high price action, that means that everyone's in crypto and they want to make money. And I think, God, everyone's getting a free ride right now. Just look at this. Aave did its big move. Fully tested August as well. Yeah, I think we looked at those today, but yeah, that's like, it's bearishly deviating, but it's not doing so in like a very nice way. So if this is the lower high failure, like, We all see that, right? Like it's bearishly deviating. So if this now like fails to make a high, or if it closes above or breaks above and then closes below, it's still bearish deviation. This is still like even here potential bearish deviation. Yeah, this thing's so freaking overbought on the 4 hour. It's crazy. But you can't long it yet though. I mean, you can't short it until it breaks anything. It's getting so close. If you were gonna like test short something, it would be another pop up like right here. Yeah, even if yeah, oh yeah, they're going nuts. Yeah, you can't like it's good to have the mentality of like look to long it, and I know a lot of people have been, but it's building up the liquidity to the upside. So when I start getting like some kind of like emotional feeling, like oh I really want to long this, it's usually and then I'll know from my in my own head that it's the wrong thing to do. That's all right. Yeah, mass. We looked at no. This thing's been stagnant. Like this thing actually has a more natural downside, but it literally like it's already lost the floor. So and it's barely retested it once. So if I was gonna look for anything on mask, let me just look 4 hour. Like this would be the nice fail. Like if it broke the March and then did like that would be nice. Because then it has to come down all the way to May or much lower. But you can't, like I said, like you're shorting into an uptrend on a medium time frame and even lower time frame. It's broken the floor, so you can look for failures. You just need to make sure that as the thing breaks up, that and looking at the timing of the rest of the markets, everything else is pumped up really good, really hard. So if they do start failing, like if everything starts retracing back down, it'll be when this thing's now doing a bit of an uptrend, right? And then it can just go like that. Oh yeah, this thing's huge, dude. Like those are not small moves. Not small moves at all. Bitcoin's good, man. See if it breaks back down. I'm not gonna be able to stick around for too much longer, but we'll see if that 4 hour closes. If that 4 hour closes back under 21, like that's maybe donezo. But again, like looking at the 4 hour as well on this, like this is still bearish deviation by technicality of the previous high. Not this one, but it's made higher highs and like it's been deviating strength to downside. So generally, that's kind of like coiling up behavior. So if you're not in the long, like I'm not looking to long until it comes back down to test something. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the dollar is breaking down and testing stuff bearishly. Oh, it did? Good. Yeah, I need to go through that and start setting my bots up again because I used to bot a lot like 2 years ago, and it was awesome because I just had everything on like long settings, which was great. I got lucky with the timing. I'll be honest because
Hey Chris,
uptrend. What's up?
sorry man, how many bots is too much bots?
It's dependent on the like if all of your bots are open, what percentage of risk do you have on your total account?
That's I have never been this much green in my life.
What?
I have never been this much green in my life since I've started trading.
Oh, really? Good.
So,
but how much risk of your asset? So if you have $1,000 in your account, if you have like how much of that totally is allocated? Like 10%, 20%?
25 to 30% of everything. 10 bots.
So just understand that like if it starts moving against you, your drawdown could be heavily exacerbated. So like you put stop losses on stuff, right?
I closed all of my trades are 75% closed, and stop loss moved to entry. Rune, YFI, Mask, Ape, OP, Rune, and a couple more things. They all moved from stop loss to break even or entry zone.
That's awesome, dude. You've done everything right. Like literally now that margin is based off the fact that your stop loss is in profit. That's a free trade. I wouldn't count that margin anymore.
So okay, so like as far as this, keep doing it. Like I do not like it's like I can open up as much bots without having.
What I would be sure as is that because you're using your stop loss, your stop loss has been moved into profit on these bots, which is a good thing. It's a very important thing, and I'm glad that Bing went over it well yesterday because that's such an important thing. Those positions are basically safe, right? Like completely. Now, so the most important thing is that what I don't want you to do is like, let's say, you said 25-30% of your account was allocated in the current trades. So but what I'm saying is that if you open, more bots, for example, they're doing it based off of your available capital and not of like a total amount of your like. Because 30% of your capital is still allocated to these trades, right?
Yes,
so,
yep.
So what I'm saying is that, please don't call me sir, but thank you.
Understand, like, when I focus, I say that word that way I can, pinpoint things. But yeah,
no worries, bro. But just make sure that like that percentage, and we just double check it because what you don't want to do is have these trades which are safe and good, right? You don't want to open up 30% more trades from your initial, account capital, right? Like you don't want to over allocate in positions. That's what I'm saying. Because when you over allocate positions, you start getting into the point of like what happened to you a couple of weeks ago, right? Where too many things were open, and then with one thing triggered, which was, not really your fault anyways. That was more of like that system and whatnot. Like you get what's called, cascading liquidations in your account, and then one thing will trigger the next one, which will trigger the next one and the next one. So realistically, and based off of like the trades and stuff, I think keeping your account, 25-30% is a lot of your account to be allocated total in an open positions. I usually keep mine under 3 to 5. But it's all dependent on your risk. What you don't want to be doing is getting at points where you have open trades and everything starts going against you, and your margin level drops to the point where everything can get liquidated.
But I no more cross. It's all isolated, and it's all very small leverage. Except I think Solana that I closed out, but they're all isolated, and they're all with a stop loss. I don't use any more cross or max leverage. I only my max would be like 20 on ENS or 25, but 20. But most of them
I saw 10, that, dude. That's really good, man. I saw that. That's awesome. So and I think that like that's a perfect example of like how profitable you can be with like consistent low leverage, and then now the botting thing working out. So I think that's really good, man. I wouldn't change much of anything. I would just, if you've got more bots active, just make sure that your total amount in that can ever open up in open positions doesn't, potentially put your account at risk. So even if you're doing isolated and everything is isolated, that's fine, I think. It's just understand that if all the trades, let's say everything you have bot-wise opens longs, like, and you increase your bots from 10 to 20, and let's say all of them start going red, is there a max drawdown on your account that could hit like, could you be losing 20% then at one time? That's the risk thing you want to go into. Is like how much could you possibly lose if they all go against you?
Would you consider hedging against the bot in this situation?
And they're all in longs, right?
Yes, sir. Yep, they're all longs. No. Hold on. I'll be honest with you. I have Wi-Fi long, Bitcoin long, Ethereum long, OP long, Solana long, Rune long, BNB long, ENS short, Mask short, and 10,000 NFT short.
I probably wouldn't go against that since you're already allocating so much of that account. If you're gonna like, what I usually do is like, when I break up my accounts into like different what I'm doing, I have my main account, which I take my main high time frame trades on. Right, my most of my money is tied into that. I've got smaller scalp accounts. I mean, I've got a little an itty bitty degen account, which I like market smash in and out just to get that stupidity out of me. But I would say that if you're trying to hedge against your current positions, that you're better doing that in a completely separate account so they're not tied together. That way it'll do two things. It'll give you an accurate read by like the end of week, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week of how good your bots and your systems are going. And then it'll also mean that, you don't have to risk maybe if you hit a wrong button, or like maybe if you allocate too much and it pulls stuff away from other things. So I'd say if you're botting on one thing, leave it all there and then collect the data and adjust it, and then do everything on something else if you're going to hedge.
Okay. Yeah. I'm thank you so much. I don't want to take time away from everybody, but it's just very quick. Yes or no? Like yesterday, what I did, I showed it. Wi-Fi from 8150 went down. I closed 75% profits, and I entered a long right away. And then what happened is when the price went up, my short closed out, hit the stop loss, and I closed out Wi-Fi. My first trade of Wi-Fi completely. I think 20-30% above 8150.
Okay.
So
I mean, if you manually closed it, I mean, would it still be in the long to catch this stuff?
No, it reopened it with a robot this morning.
Okay, cool.
The price it opened it up at 8,025 even.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy good, dude.
Yeah, I think I've shared the screen, the profit on profits in Discord.
Yeah.
25, like on the dot, no sense, nothing. 8025.
Yeah, so like I said, I opened that up in the Discord. So there is under the crypto forum thing, like where DA-Egil just shared his thing too. I've opened it up. It was a permission problem. That was my fault. So like it was not allowing people to post into the different sections, unfortunately. But it should allow you to post now. Just double check it. Otherwise, we'll figure it out and make it better. But
I see what you mean. But if you looked at profits in our Discord group, in our community, you see it entered at 8,025 even, like on the dot, which was like surprising to me.
Really cool.
It's on. I'll send you guys a
yeah, it's an
on the bot actually. That's when the buy flashed at yeah. That's when the buy flashed. It's amazing. That's when the buy flashed right around that time. So these spots are crazy.
It's nuts, man. What? The VIX is dumping? Good. VIX is actually getting down into a buy zone. It's not there yet. I know. Yeah, who's got a $250,000 to lay around and buy? You can actually buy. There are ways to buy this lower, but if you're able to trade the VIX on, like if you're that inclined, it's like the freest money on the face of the earth for the most part, because it follows the same patterns of volatility. Like volatility is harmonic, like in the markets as well as anything else. So if we do get a massive dump, I'm not expecting it to go much lower than this. But anything down here, you could be looking at a general 20% increase on most things. Like the last time we had this high was back in August, right? And volatility is basically an inverse of upward movement. So, like even here, that was where the VIX was the lowest, right? And we're ramping back up, and we're not even there yet. So, where the VIX starts turning around is probably where we start. Eventually it'll turn around. Like the VIX never goes down to anything like super low, right? The VIX hovers around 10 in general favorable conditions, and then shoots up and spikes up into like the 40s, 50s, and above, where we've basically been because this is a bear market. So even on the way down from the COVID flash crash, basically, we've been grinding down, but then the trend broke, in here, as that was the low. Then higher lows held the main low, and overall higher lows. If we're going back into a general upmarket trend, we would probably have to have one last flash up on volatility, one last dump down before this thing starts settling and grinding back down to the 10 zone. But yeah, the VIX is a crazy one. Like it took me a while to like visually get good at looking at where it is. Like even here, it's getting close to a major block. It's literally on it right now. So if we do get some turnaround, I'd like to see downside, continued upside, and then eventually the whole thing rockets back up. But it really makes me happy to see that like the bot stuff is working and like the general trade stuff. But I think as we start moving that direction, it's crazy to think. But like one of the things we're working on too is like a light tool for just auto plotting. Like even for me, because I do the weekly and daily SRs, the swings one will be hard because it's hard to program those in. Like plot all highs after lows based off of volatility, which basically what the swings are doing now. But they're popping them off of like highs and lows based on volatility, not the condition of high after low. If low volatility is X, it's a bunch of math shit that's over my head. But yeah, eventually all the SRs are going to get auto plotted on a little secondary tool probably. But
hello, folks.
What's up?
How are we doing?
Good. Just having a little session.
Nice. Market's pumping?
Yeah, been pumping all morning, man. I think we're getting a little retracement. Let's see what happens. The general outlook is the same. Like we're breaking levels of the upside, and Bitcoin is like very cheekily holding the higher lows of stuff. So that's all fine and dandy. What we want to see eventually, or at least for me on Bitcoin, is like to complete this, to turn this entire upside move into distribution. It would have to like not hold here. Like it would have to not do this. That means that we're potentially continuing the upside. If we now sweep, the current low and do something like that, and then pop back up, then I'm looking for failures, like major failures, to come back down. Because then the whole thing becomes distributive. Because as we've lost the low, it's like the same pattern. Like this is should be ingrained in everyone's head, right? From the previous bull market, it's this thing, right? This pattern of like we're potentially doing this locally, right? We're making higher highs and higher lows pretty consistently, especially on closes, right? In the daily, you can pop below as long as it regains it looks pretty decent. If this thing now, were to come down and break the major level that's, to the left of us or two to the left of us, right? And still hold the main one, like then this entire top becomes like a potential swing fail like this did. Because all this was the whole way through, right? Like we know this at this point, right? This whole thing was deviation. Price continued to go up, strength deviated to the downside. Not as severely as like here, where it was literally like the most bullshit high ever, and which is why like Marcus caught this better than I did. He literally shorted 68, like intraday, and then he reshorted, this failure as it tested the swing low of it on the daily, like perfectly, really. But that's massive deviation, and that's higher time frame massive deviation. And right now, right? The strength of this up move that we just had was higher than like the pop-ups up here, right? So this is an interesting change, but we haven't gained anything back. So strength is back at these levels, but we're still 2K, 3K below it. Yeah, even the weekly's ramping up. Like the weekly can very easily just do another one of these things and go, up where it is now and then back down. And then that higher low of that. That's what I would love to see on like a high time frame. Like this is still my kind of like general outlook. High time frame is that I think we go lower eventually, just because it makes sense in my head that we do. Right? Like that was the all-time high, right? That was like extremely overextended weekly. That was the blow off, since it's deviating, like strength higher or trend higher. You can use that as a term. But even here, right, we come back down, make a new low, but it only deviates down here. And then we get general bullish deviation. And then once we get that back down into like this stuff, it's probably several weeks of that before we start deviating back to the upside. So because it takes a long time to come back down. So maybe even something like this and just hold the low. But who knows? Right now it looks bullish as hell. We haven't had 3 up candles like in a week in, when was the last time we had that? Back in October of last year. So that's pretty interesting, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's a nice rounded bottom structure, even like on the daily, right? The problem is, like I said, is have we gained back? Here's where we are at 43K, or 24K, 24.5, or 25K. I mean, look at that, right? We're back at the same level on strength, but we're significantly lower in price. If the price was up here, and this is where we are, then I'm thinking we do something like this, but we're not. So it's all bullish until it's not. It's all bearish until deviation until it's not. But right now, I just don't see it yet. Could be wrong. Who knows? I just, like this, already getting like major potential changes, and then if we were to get something like that, we're basically like here doing this up move, and then we do something like this, and we crab up, and then we still fail. But it is bullish right now. Like you said, this is round bottom structure, and now we just can't lose the round bottom, because if we do, it's wrecked. And that's the low we can't lose. That's like, now that this is the higher low from this one, right? That's the low that we can't lose in the overall structure. Or that's the low, excuse me. So if we lose, what is that? That, no matter what we do, if we lose that and we don't make a new high, if we lose that and then come back up and then fail, it's distribution. But until then, we're going to play the fun and play the levels. I'm just really happy that the bots are working so nice. I really think that's so cool. Yeah, so we're working on some stuff right now too, because like we keep thinking, with the data, like we're working on some other products as well. But I think in the indicators alone, like we're trying to see, like, what if we can get outputs on the indicator, right? Like where, like if strength is, let's say it fires a long signal on like the 1 hour, for example, or let's say it fires a short, like right here on, it doesn't matter. I'm on the dollar. It doesn't matter. What if it fires a short right here? But the strength is under 20. Like I want to be able to use the fact that it wants to fire short when we're that like oversold as like a blocker to like restrict trades, and I think that's really going to help, especially with stuff like the ATR filter. Yeah, so that's what we're kind of trying to play into now. We're trying to see what we can do because PineScript, there are some, like we're building this stuff ourselves like on the side that we want to be able to implement into a system for everybody. But with PineScript on TradingView, the problem is there's like a max codes, like it has a limit. We can't drop in a 500,000 lines of code artificial intelligence trader that's being used, that's like a multi-million-dollar system used by these like multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, right? It doesn't have the resources to support it, and it can't action it. But we can definitely upload that onto a powerful virtual private server like a VPS and then feed that information out. Absolutely. It's absolutely possible. So we'll see how much we get. Yeah, we're working on a lot, dude. We've got so much stuff in the works. It's freaking crazy. Like, but we'll start going with that as we go through it. Like, we're still right in the middle of everything.
Mr. Trey, affiliate link, man.
What's that?
Here's my affiliate link. I'm still waiting for it, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's. I'm really sorry about that, guys. I thought I had everything fixed. The problem is that reversion. The guy that we've been using as a developer to link that, he made his own API key that doesn't register with reversion. So that's an issue that we're working on like extensively. Like that's like priority 1 right now that we're trying to get fixed. So we've got time slotted in tomorrow to do some fixes on it because it needs to be fixed right away. Like, it's not fair to you guys, and it's not fair to like the people who want to come in because like it's just not, and that's not what I'm about. So that I promise you, that's what we're working on. I've got the time slotted in tomorrow, and we're gonna do it. So hopefully we'll get it fixed. It's been going on too long, and we thought we had fixes. We tested ourselves, and stuff went through, and then all of a sudden it didn't go through. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Another suggestion for you guys, I don't know, maybe in the website you may want to add in the whole robot trading thing as a for everybody that check in the website for the very first time as an eye catcher.
So we mentioned automated trading, but absolutely, like as soon as we're done right now, Will's been busy all week working on a promotional video that we've been sending out to a couple of people. That's kind of in the works now. But as soon as he's done with that, the next update, from my side, is fixing the goddamn reversion thing because it's really pissing me off at this point, and it needs to be fixed. And then the next thing is updating the website so it shows everything that we're doing, and then links everyone to the important stuff. Like, how do I get started trading? What do I need? I need TradingView. I need, an exchange like BitGet or Binance or Bybit or whatever. And then you need, bot trading. If you want to bot trade, you need this. And like, then we can link that to like some of the video stuff that we've got coming out. But right now, the biggest problem is like the recording of the videos and getting them at like the production quality we want them to, since it's basically just 2 guys on the team working on that. It's like a bottleneck that we're trying to fix with like content creators. But we're getting there. It's just a grind. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's just
with Egil too. I know it's a lot of work on you guys. Small team, but also just keep in mind that new members, they need to be kind of babied around a little bit more. Until they turn into paid customers. After they try it out. You have to keep an eye on them. That way,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So like the idea then is we'll probably do like onboarding sessions like twice a week or something. So like on the Fireside on Monday, that'll be basically the goal is that we'll do like a run through of all the indicators to make sure everyone's on the same page, which it's a little bit overload, but then we start building that into like a support system where everyone can do that. And then Marcus is he's got the education, like the coaching program. For like mostly mentality and mindset, and then building like a good structure with your trading that he's worked on. That's really, really good that we're going to be bringing back. We're just revamping it right now. So a lot of stuff still to come.
Good to hear, man. Thanks a lot for everything that you guys done so far. I appreciate you.
No, I'm happy, man. I'm really happy. That makes me feel good. I always would go to bed thinking like, oh, could do more, but it's a grind to get there. Always has been. Yeah, I think that's about it. What's up?
It always will be.
Yeah, well, eventually, who knows? Like, I'd like to eventually get even with the streams and stuff, is getting like other people doing the streams, and then I can kind of like work on the other stuff in the background. Like, I don't mind doing the content creation stuff. I think it's fun, but at the end of the day, it's like I want to be making sure like the stuff that goes out is at the quality that we want it to be, which is no horse shit, no nonsense, no like screaming faces, like the typical YouTube shit where it's like, do this and you make $1 million, or do this and the next bull run, like all these empty promises and lies. I just don't want to play that game.
You're doing a good job.
Well, thanks.
But I was referring to the feeling of, I could always do this, always do that, always get better. I mean, if you're striving for progress, it's the same with training. It's gonna follow you wherever you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it, man. Like, at the end of the day, I think one of the best things I've ever read in my life was the book. Basically, I don't know if you guys. Let me see if I can pull it up or if I find it. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. His own diary was translated many years ago and retranslated, but he was basically the greatest Roman emperor, and he had the ideas of himself on Stoicism. It's basically his private notes to himself, and this was like at the time like the leader of the entire world, right? It's called Meditations, and it's like the translation by Marcus Aurelius, but it's like the notes. Basically his personal diary and journal about himself to like improve himself, and like one of the biggest focuses was, I don't want to be like someone else, like because everybody does this. They compare themselves to a movie star or to a professional athlete, or they want like, why can't I want to achieve that, instead of looking at themselves and it's like, am I better than I was? Am I better than myself today than I was yesterday? Like, have I advanced, or have I regressed, right? And I always have that feeling like I'm going out for drinks on Saturday with some friends, and it's like, it'll be fun, it'll be social, but then Sunday I'll feel like, wow, I'm a shittier version of myself than I was on Saturday, because I'll be probably a little bit hungover, And but that kind of goes with everything that we do, and like with the trading shit. Like, eventually we've gotten to the point now where it makes sense, and the hardest thing is patience and timing. And I don't know. At the end of the day, I just try to be better, and like that's why I always like get mad at myself. I'm like, God, I should have done this. I could have done that. Da da da. But I guess it's all a learning experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, that Marcus. I mean, you're going down a deep rabbit hole. I got a buddy of mine that told me they were teaching students about him in philosophy class in Stanford. That guy is his notes. If you can able to like go through and read them, my God, it's I know exactly what you're talking about, Crypto Vikings.
It's a different type of human, dude. Like,
absolutely, yes, yeah. And more medieval. It's like your mind, your people, like you say, like there's always say people like their cars, they like their houses, they like their valuable things, but what about your mind? That's what I've learned from reading about it. Your mind being fucking laser focused. You have that laser focus. What's gonna improve your life by tomorrow? I love that. I suggest that everybody should check it out.
Yeah, I definitely like it. But I gotta get out of here, guys. I gotta go pick up the wife from work. I have the car right now. The other one's busted. So, shit. I think that's pretty much it. We covered a couple things, nothing too major. The biggest things again that we looked at was like the overlay, and especially with the new online, the metric bundle. Invert charts show divergences, which I think is super, super powerful, especially because now you can overlay it with the Harmony Oscillator inverted on stablecoin demand, right? Retail stablecoin demand. It's just getting strong and strong and stronger. So like bearish divergence, that means the change in direction is potentially coming. I'm on the 15 minute, so take it with a grain of salt. So basically here we want to see like lower highs, and if we see lower highs and that break this current low, that's the short back down to the weekly November. But who knows? That might be the high time frame overall high in this zone. We'll see. I'm only looking for failures. Otherwise, invert the chart, right? That's the only way to make it work. But feel free to stick around, guys, and like I said, check in. Can you just check real fast if you guys can post in the crypto forum? Yeah,
it's good for me. I can.
Yeah, I just posted the link to it in the chat. Just make sure you guys can post in there because it was my stupid ass had it locked, but Egil was able to post. So I just want to see if any of the mods are able to post.
Yeah, I was about to say that today, but it works now.
It does?
The bot setup. That channel works.
Okay, like core trend auto trading settings?
Yeah, exactly, because it wasn't working earlier today.
Awesome.
Open up.
Well, if you guys post a bunch of stuff in there, I'll probably steal most of it, and try it myself. But yeah, I gotta bounce. You guys have a really good one. Thanks again for everything, guys. But I guess we'll catch you all over the weekend sometime, and then probably going into Sunday or Monday. But we'll expect to do like Monday and maybe Thursday or something, or Monday and Friday. We'll do like onboard sessions for like indicator use. And then Bing will do like an automation session probably once a week as well, because I know a lot of the new guys coming in want to do like their own trading. And I love the fact that everyone who is botting, I mean, yeah, there might be good times and bad times. Like everyone's having good times now, great. It could be turning sour, we don't know. But at the end of the day, it's like it's your money that you're making yourself, and not like copy trading off someone or like signal trading. You're basically doing it yourself, which is so cool. So that's exciting.
Thanks a lot, Viking. These firesides and the tooling and everything, there's so much value there. I appreciate it. Learned a ton in this group.
Oh, thanks, Nader. I really appreciate that, dude. That means a lot. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's all we're trying to do. Give some value, right? Learn some shit. Be better. Make some money. The world turns around. Life is good. It's almost Christmas again. Oh, I'm getting old. Time's going faster. I hate it. But it is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's going to be interesting to see if the bot, if it's set up so it caught some moves today. For us regular folks not watching the shorts working.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
All right. Well, I'm going to bounce. I got to go. You guys have a good one. I'll catch you guys over the weekend, and we'll do some updates and then build into Monday, right?
Yep.
All right.
Have a great one.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Okay, sticking around a few minutes.
Mr. Lauren Boobman. I can be back here in about like 2.5 hours time. Gotta run to the office, do a couple things, and come back.